situation in Gaza is actually, sadly, at one of its, let's say, most challenging period ever. What I see on the ground, and I was in Dar al-Bala and in Khan Yunis yesterday with families, is that this risk of famine is actually sadly a reality as we speak. One of the family I was with, it was a female-headed household. She had 3 children, and she was describing to me that all her children are eating is a quarter of a loaf of bread on daily basis and a bit of hot water with spices. She's sometimes herself not eating for 1 to 2 days just to make sure her 3 children is actually just having access to a quarter of a loaf of bread. That is what many of the families are facing. There are also some of the families where the father is forced actually to go towards any of the assistance that is getting into Gaza and risking their life just to grab either a bag of wheat flour or a box of food. That tells you how desperate is currently the situation in terms of food security and how dire is the situation. From the World Food Programme, our key priority is actually to manage to have this wave of starvation that needs to be not only controlled, but we manage actually to reverse it. During the ceasefire, 75% of the population was actually having a proper access to food. As we speak, 2 children out of 10 are facing malnutrition. We have what it takes as the World Food Programme, as UNICEF, to make sure that we can actually have these kids having a proper access to food. What we require as the World Food Programme is every day at least 100 trucks to be able not only to get into Gaza, but to reach population. We need to reinstate what was our distribution system that have been sadly disrupted. Again, to run bakeries into Gaza, to have hot meals via kitchen, and a network of 180 were and used to be operational. And again, to have our 200 distribution points up and running. I wish I could tell you today that we are able to restart that. As we speak, any of our assistance getting into Gaza is first taking too long. Yesterday, we were still taking 10 hours just to move 52 trucks. We need to move faster and be granted and better space to be able to operate, but also to have more roads. Why people are rushing on our trucks is because we have only one road that is being provided to us. We go with our teams. We're risking life of our own team, of truck drivers, running through empty trucks on markets because we're forced to use these roads. Everybody knows that we go and fetch food and then we come on the same roads to actually deliver. What do you think is happening? We have a wave of people because of the despair that are just there to grab, for whatever it takes, a box of food or a bag of wheat flour. There has been just yesterday an alert that was actually launched, flagging the fact that what we've been saying at the beginning of May is sadly a reality. You have a risk of famine. 500,000 people are on the brink of famine in Gaza. You have now, since July 17th, you have more than 16 young children that passed away due to malnutrition. What is so important is also to reassure the population in Gaza that as humanitarian, we have the goods to reach them. But the level of despair is so high that any of the goods that are entering are directly being taken from the trucks. The Humanitarian and the World Food Programme are in capacity, and we've done it during the ceasefire, to reach all the population in Gaza. The model on which we rely is actually directly having more than 100, up to 200 distribution points to reach people where they are. That model is so important. We have been working in Gaza for decades. We have trusted partners on the ground. We know how to reach the people. We are actually making sure that we have no one with a weapon around our trucks. If this is happening, we continue to plead not to have any military, not to have any armed groups around our assistance. This is the way we've been operating. This is why, as country director of the World Food Programme, I am able to sit in the middle of a street, in a tent, with a family, with trusted communities, because we've been operating and serving them. This is what we need and plead, that the pause is not a solution. People are still being scared of no tomorrow because there are still bombs that are heading on different parts of Gaza. During the ceasefire, there was more capacity for us to reach people because there were less anxiety, less desperation. This is why a ceasefire is long overdue, and that is a priority for us and any of the different actors on the ground to be able to reach the population. That is the priority. We do have all it takes from all the different crossings, but also from all the different corridors. For your viewers, I would like really to thank in Jordan all the support that we're getting to actually manage to have food coming directly. We have warehouses in Amman. We are being supported by the Jordan Army Forces. We are able actually to provide assistance in the north of Gaza, thanks to the trust that we have from these very vital corridors. We also have food coming from Ashdod in Israel, as well as from Egypt. All these corridors are essential. The lifeline that we have coming from Jordan, just yesterday we had 35 trucks that were actually moving directly with flour, getting into the platform of Zikim and making sure that we could provide this assistance to people. We also have in Jordan food rations, and we have similar type that are coming from Ashdod and coming from Egypt. These are lifeline getting to people, but it needs to go beyond the trucks getting in. It needs to allow us, with a proper search, to actually manage to restart our distribution systems. It is so important that any of the assistance is reaching people in Gaza, that the airdrops that are being provided. It's also vital that to actually manage to go over the current wave of starvation, we have more volume to get into Gaza. So that's why also the fact of having trucks getting through the crossings, getting into Gaza is so important. What we require is actually more than 60,000 metric tons of food to reach 2.1 million people. Airdrops are part, but they are not having sufficient capacity. Just what we've delivered as the World Food Programme from the last week, 6,000 metric tons of food into Gaza. We managed actually to reduce just the price of 1 kg of wheat flour that was around 200, 300 shekel to actually go down between 15, if you're close to some of our convoys, to 70 shekel. These volumes are so important to stabilize, calm down the situation, and then restart a proper assistance where people can again go to a distribution point, go to a bakery, or go to a kitchen to have the basics. And I hope very soon, and it's also important from Jordan, that commercial are again up and running. It should be the commercial also bringing proper dairy products, fruits, vegetables, meat, fish to the population in Gaza. It's so important not to lose hope. Just 3 weeks ago, I was in Gaza City in a tent, and I was actually speaking to a young 14-year-old kid, and she was telling me, speaking a better English than I am, that she wanted to be an interpreter. She just stand up and vanished. And I thought that, speaking of future, I actually perhaps had the wrong words. She came back to me and she brought in front of me 2 of her diploma about how she is actually in capacity to deliver and have a proper speech in English. She moved 17 times and she had her 2 diploma. I think that's my message. We should always contemplate that we need to work for the future of the population that is currently in Gaza, civilians that deserve that the international community do not forget them.